So, welcome to the fourth talk of the GTB track, and I welcome Steffen Schild, who will do this track, the testing instead of the tester. He, she, diverse. He will introduce himself later. This talk is about the agile transformation that more and more involves developers in testing activities, testing responsibility, and thus changes the complete setup from distinguished testers to testing activities that are spread over the whole organization, and how those skills look like and how they are spread over the organization. Also, as a part of an analysis Steffen also contributed to in the German testing board working group Berufsbild Testen, literally translated like something like job description for testing. So Steffen, the stage is yours.
Okay, thanks Armin. Great to be here. Unfortunately not live in Dublin, but from Erlangen here in Germany. And welcome to my session about testing versus the testing versus a tester, so to say. A short introduction of myself on the next slide. I'm working for Alten Company, which is a worldwide consultant company. So we do have a lot of knowledge in different subjects, in different industries, in different working environments. And on the next slide, something about myself. I would call myself an agile test specialist, agile test enthusiast would be the right wording. I love agile, and I will tell you later why, because it's the perfect subject for my mindset of testing. I'm in the job since late 90s. Started as a programmer, then switched to the dark side of software development in the years back, which is testing. And happily I stayed there. It is the right thing for me. So I was very happy to switch from the light side to the dark side. And since then, I'm working on bringing light to this testing subject of software development. And as we can see, quality is improving. Quality is the one subject which is important nowadays. So somehow we succeeded with this enlightening the dark side. I'm a certified tester, advanced. I'm an agile tester. I'm a requirements professional, which is, in my view, very important for testers, knowing how to write good requirements. I'm also working as an ISTQB trainer for the foundation level. So I'm training, I'm coaching new testers, young testers, to get this quality thing done. And I'm also speaking on conferences like this one, and Agile Testing Days, German Testing Day, ASQF events. So we start with the next slide with a typical situation we find familiar with. We have two business managers wearing ties, so they are managing something, and they're discussing about a new project they are going to acquire. They talk to the customer, and on the next slide we have different typical situations and wordings. I think all of us are familiar. Hey, a customer asks us to develop this special app. Okay, great. So we need to make him an offer. We need to tell him how much it costs. Yeah, let's do a brainstorming about the requested features and the costs for us, so we can tell him what we charge from him. Yeah, we do this, and then we talk about the team we need. And it goes on the next slide with defining the features, with talking about the structure of the features. And after doing that, now we go to the team. Okay, of course, we need developers. They have to be specialists in I don't know, this, that, else, everything else, which is technological needed to implement this special handy app. It might be cloud, it might be front-end architecture, it might be back-end architecture, it might be database, whatever. Yeah, and we need a business analyst because we need requirements talked about, and yeah, we do agile, so we need a product owner, of course, who's talking with customers, who's steering our team. Yes, but because we're agile, we also need a scrum master. Great. Okay, so we have our team ready. And no. Next slide shows us what is missing. Problem is, the customer is about quality. So he really wants a great quality of his product. Okay, so we also need a tester, correct? Yes, we need a tester. Okay, one tester or two, or how? I don't know what testers. How many people do we need to test things? I'm not sure. And in the next slide, okay, didn't we have a ratio on the developer tester members of the team? There has been something. Okay, so how many developers do we have? Yeah, we have 2 backend, 2 frontend, 2 cloud specialists. So we have 2 for 6 developers. Okay, so developer tester ratio is some colleague told me it's about 2 to 1. So 2 developers, 1 tester. Okay, great. That makes 3 testers. Great. So we have 6 developers, 3 testers, product owner, scrum master, business analyst. So it makes about 11, 12 people. Whoa, let's get expensive. Wait. We can't, if we tell the customer this amount of people we need and we have to pay them, so the costs are rising, we have to do something different. Okay, can we live with a ratio of 3 to 1? 3 developers, 1 tester? Isn't that great? Okay, so as you might have recognized, this is a typical conversation on the project leading side, on the business management side, about how can we staff our project and how do we think we can get it done with the correct quality the customer required. So if we have a look on the next slide, we see some things that immediately came to our attention. The first thing is every of those, we can have a click on the slide. It's about everything we talked about is about technology. They talked about the front end, what technology we need for frameworks. They talked about the back end, databases and APIs and all those things. And they recognized something new, that is the cloud. So another buzzword, another technology incorporated, it's the cloud. So it's great to talk about these features. Don't misunderstand me. It's absolutely necessary because without it, we cannot develop our application. But it's only the programmer's task. All those technology, all those tasks and stuff that is really planned by thinking about what do we need is about the programmer side. Okay, also business analyst and scrum master and product owner, because the Scrum Guide says we need a product owner and we need a scrum master, and it's on board to have those on board, because without we can't tell that we are doing agile. So we need someone who calls himself a product owner or a scrum master. And it's also interesting about the customer requirements, of course, the features and the things he wants to implement it. And a little bit, it's really a little bit about quality, which is great because quality is somehow on the screen of the business side. And of course, in the end, it's all about costs. But with the next click, we see what is missing. It's only talking about how many testers we need, depending on how many programmers we have. So it's not in contrast to the technological part of the programmer side. It's not about what tasks do the testers have to do to get the quality inside into the project, into the product. It's only about numbers, and those numbers are only calculated relating to the programmer side. And so it's not the same intense brainstorming about the needs of a tester, of the task that he has to do to get the quality. It's only about the task that the programmers need to implement the application. And on the next slide, we see a short reference to this great books from Lisa and Janet about agile testing. They also cover this tester-developer ratio. And there is no real ratio. It's always discussed about, it's talked about numbers, ratios, 3 to 1, 1 to 1, 2 to 1, 10 to 1, 4 to 1. But it doesn't make sense because there is no right ratio. There never was a right ratio. It's just common to use this kind of calculating project members and costs. And why is there no right ratio? Because as we've learned, as testers, of course, in the certified tester foundation level, for example, but also as a project leader or as a developer for himself, we learned that each project is different. Each project is depending on the context it is living in, it is produced, it's depending on the software development life cycle we use in our team. It's in the context of the team, of the organization, of the company, of the country, of the technology. So if we want quality, each project needs to evaluate the things needed for this project concerning quality. So we're talking about tasks. And on the next slide, I took a photo of one of our last projects. We have this beautiful Scrum board. I think a lot of people are familiar with, where we have those tasks put on the wall, and we have different colors for different disciplines, for different kinds of tasks, for analysis, for implementation, for testing. We have those red post-its for bugs and so on. So this is the real thing that is happening inside our projects. It's about technology, of course, but it's most about what do we need to do to use this technology to get our product done in the correct way, to get the quality the customer deserves because he's paying us, so he deserves to get quality. And this can only be done by tasks. And those tasks have to be visualized. Maybe as in a kind of post-its or other ways. If you use online tools like Jira, they have a digital version of those post-its. or any other tool that helps us in COVID times to do our remote project work. We have to visualize what we do. And besides the business management or the project leaders not knowing what is really needed to get this quality done, I'm also all the times I'm also told by some colleagues, developers, analysts, Scrum Masters, that also they do not really know what a tester is really doing. Testers are writing test cases, they are executing test cases, and they are doing some kind of reports. Yeah, bug reports, most visual thing here, the red ones on the screen, or some documentation in Confluence where they have those funny charts about how many bugs they found and how many bugs have been solved and how many are left over and so on. So this is kind of reporting. So testers do writing test cases because without writing they can't execute, so they have to write them, and that's it. That is most known to teammates about testing. And this is one of the most important problems I'm sure we have in our projects. This is the visualization of the tasks needed to be done to get quality. And now we can switch from this tester view, where we have this person who is doing this testing thing, this tester thing. We have to switch to the testing view. So to the tasks, to what is testing, what means the word testing. We have to do this switch because everyone sees this tester person and she is doing some things, some magic things, and she's getting some bug reports out of this magic. But no one knows what he or she is doing. And to get this knowledge more spread, we have to switch to the testing view. So what is really done? We have to write those cards here on the screen. We have to write a post-it for every kind of task we plan to do for this user story. We have to write it down because the programmers do the same thing with their tasks. They're writing post-its about setting up the database, about getting a technical user from the IT department to have an access from Jenkins to the Git repository. They're talking about setting up the development Jenkins pipeline, the CI pipeline. They have tasks about, I don't know, whatever. They even have tasks about the failures they did because these are those bug reports. And the tester often only has this card to test this user story. And we have to spread the knowledge what is behind this task. And when we go to the next slide, we have a beautiful view where we can get ideas what is needed to be done. Because testing, the thing that a tester does, or the thing that the project needs to get quality into its product, testing is not a single activity as executing test cases, but it's a process. As the programming process, the release process, the development process, testing is also a process. And we learn it in the foundation level ISTQB course. We have those steps here. We have a planning phase, we have an analysis phase, we have a design phase, we have an implementation phase, so writing the test cases. We have an execution phase, and we have some completion when we're done. And beside all those phases, we have this monitoring and controlling phase. So test process itself gives us a lot of hints about the tasks we need to do. And with a click on the slide, we get another great idea where we can go those tasks from, because we have this beautiful test pyramid. And this test pyramid I got from another webinar I listened to just recently. And it's a great test alternative to this typical test pyramid because it doesn't start with unit testing. It starts with reviews. Because before doing unit tests, testing also includes reviews. And it also includes static tests as a technological form of a review, an automated form of a review. So by having a look on this testing pyramid, we get a lot of ideas what tasks are needed. Just because we have unit tests here, we have integration tests and acceptance tests, we have to have stages, environments where we can run those kinds of tests. So we have to set them up. We have to set up them, we have to create them, we have to ask the IT department to give us servers where we can run those integration tests on. And this, every single step of this is a task that needs to be done. And that is a task that needs to be done because we are doing testing. And on the next slide, we have another wording from Lisa and Janet. An agile team must possess all the skills needed to produce quality code that delivers the features required by the organization. While this might mean including specialists on the team, such as expert testers, it doesn't limit particular tasks to particular team members. Any task might be completed by any team member, and so on. So this really true wording here also requires to have a view on the task, because if we don't have the task visible on some kind of board, other team members can't grab those tasks and do the things written on those post-it. So if we have a team, and Armin just told about in his last talk about this team responsibility for quality, which is really the essence of Agile, every team member has to know where he can help getting this quality done. So he needs to know which task he can do to get this quality thing done. Okay, and on the next slide, another short wording from Lisa and Janet's book. Testing tasks need to be given the same attention as other tasks. Again, the whole team approach to testing or to quality goes a long way toward ensuring that testing tasks are completed by anyone. We don't care. They just have to be done. Okay, and another wording from this great book. On the next slide, it's a story from a real project. And it says, the tester will be engaged in tasks from multiple stages. In one day, he might be sitting in a design session with engineers and product management because he's doing some review. He's getting some ideas about test cases that might help, or about quality, or about risks that arise from this project or from this way of design that is talked about. And in the afternoon, he might do some completely different. He might sit there in front of his computer and automate test cases. So these are very different tasks, different kind of tasks, completely different kind of tasks that are all part of this testing thing we need for quality. Okay, so on the next slide, I showed I'm showing a little bit about those tasks that might be needed. We have this phases from our test project. It's about planning, analysis, implementation, execution, reporting. So this might be seen as tasks alone. So we need to analyze, we need to plan, to implement, to execute. But behind every step of this process, there are a lot of different detailed tasks that someone has to do. For example, we need analyze requirements or analyze any other document we can get in our hands. We have to analyze the system architecture. We have to create our own test architecture to incorporate with this system architecture, to hold our test cases, our databases, our data, our, I don't know. We have to create those technical stages, environments where we can run our test cases on. We need to create APIs into the system that can be accessed by the test cases. And we need to create abstract test cases, and we need to create, by doing abstract test cases, we need to create test data we can use in those test cases. And with this test data, we need a database where we can store those tests in. So we also need to create a database and set it up and fill it with data and so on and so on. Make it accessible to test cases run by a certain test management system, or it has to be able to access this database from different stages, from in COVID times, maybe from different countries or continents. So we also have to deal with proxy servers and whatever. And of course, in the end, yes, testing also means we have to implement those test cases. But it's the most insignificant part, if you let me use those words here, because all those other tasks have to accompany writing those test cases. So as you can see, and as if the business management would have had a look into what testing really means, we see that there are a lot of test cases that might not fit into any symbolic ratio, tester developer ratio of X to Y. And I'm coming across all those problems in every of my projects. And as Armin and Erhard told in their last talk, previous talk, times are changing and we have a different view on this testing thing. We go away from the tester to the testing. And this is the way we work in our company. We try to work, we try to convince our customers that the testing view is the correct one and not the tester view. We also work with our own managers in our own company to convince them that this testing view is the correct one and not this ratio view. And gladly, we are supported by the German testing board with this view and this change in the mindset. And on the next slide, we can see this Berufsbild tester that is available on the German testing board website. And this Berufsbild tester, a job description tester, as it is called, it's about this tester view, this person view. And last year, Armin invited me into a project group at the German testing board. And on the next slide, we can see that we are working on a new version of this Berufsbild tester. And this is called Berufsbild Testing, job description testing. And so we removed the X, and with another click, we get this Berufsbild testing, this testing view instead of the tester view. Okay, so we are currently working on this, and I think it will be a great support for all kinds of people. And in the next slide, I try to make a short way of how we handled this changed mindset. So I think we are about a little bit out of synchronization right now. I don't know if this is just on my side that I don't see the current slide. Okay, so, okay, please go back one slide. And okay, so first we have a look at the tasks that need to be done. And the next step in setting up a project is take a look at the position in your team that might fit to those tasks. Not at the people, but at the position. Developer, analyst, I don't know, whoever, tester. Do we have the position to fulfill those tasks? And this is a very important step because it's quite abstract view on the task. We have, for example, the position, do we need a test analysis position, or do we need a test management position, or do we need a test engineering position, or specialist testing because we do a lot of performance testing or a lot of artificial intelligence testing and so on. So we need a test specialist involved. And after having compared those tasks to those positions, only in the end we go to have a look which person might take those positions to fulfill those tasks. And this is a quite different view from a few years ago. And I hope that this change in mindset, change in a way to set up a project, to have a view on the project might help. And on the next slide, we see those two business managers talking again after having a look, either having talked with an agile tester or have read those this changed Berufsbild Testing. They might talk different. Okay, now we know how many testers we need. Yes, by looking at the tasks that have to be done and the capabilities that we have in the team. So we need to hire those skills that we do not already have in our team. And based on that skills, we can see how many persons we need, because maybe a special person is not capable of all those skills, so we need 2 persons, or we need different persons because we need to split up those tasks in the timeline or everything else. So having this different view might really help in setting up a different setup of a project. And on the next slide, we also have more benefits of changing this mindset from viewing a tester's person to having a view on this testing tasks view on a project. And besides this stuffing thing, having a look at these different tasks and positions, it might also help in a personal career planning, because having visualized these different positions and tasks in this kind of booklet we are creating right now, you for yourself as a tester or as an interested person in quality or in testing or programming or analysis, you might think, okay, it's interesting what they are doing, what we can do by just doing testing. And it might help you to decide, okay, that's the right thing for me, or not. So it might help on your personal career plan. It might help also in finding the right trainings by yourself or by your teammates or by your product owner or by your HR department. They might find, okay, we have to develop this colleague of us, we might help him getting onto the next project, and okay, he's now doing those things, and the next step would be logical to do, I don't know, management or specializing in artificial intelligence testing. So we might look for a special training to help him get this knowledge, because we as a company need this skill for our future projects. It might also help organizational optimization, as I told right before, and about the correct staffing. Okay, so we are at the end of my presentation, and the next slide shows those two books I really recommend reading if you're interested in testing things. The first book is this 3 books from Lisa and Janet about agile testing. And when we created and finally delivered our Berufsbild Testing, this also might be an interesting lecture to help you understand the needs for a high quality project. Okay, so thank you very much. If there are any questions, please go on.
So thank you so much, Steffen, for this interesting talk that really gives a brief of real life that's behind that. And I'd like to encourage everybody to issue some questions in the comment section. We have a few minutes to answer some questions. So since there's no question so far, so I have a question, Steffen. That is a very complete concept of all the skills you need in an organization. Maybe you need them in different amounts depending on the organization, the process, and so on. And definitely this will be a challenging task to bring those skills to the organization. Do you have any idea who can bring those skills to the organization? Is that always human resources? Who will do that?
No, I don't think it's okay. In the end, it will be human resources because they will have to pay for this. Yeah. But I think it starts inside a project, inside a team.
Okay.
Or if we set up a new team, if we are setting up a new project, getting a new customer, it starts from here. So where we have to brainstorm, as the 2 managers did in the beginning, they brainstormed about technology and costs and features. You also have to brainstorm about these tasks needed to do so. And then you quite logical come to the point where do we have those skills? And we have a lot of people, but they don't have the exact skill we need. So we might give them a training so we can get them into our team. They're really great in other parts of developing software, but they are lacking a certain skill. Of course, we can look on the market to hire a new person, but more cost effective it is to improve our own people we have in our team and our company. So I think it starts at this stage, staffing project, or inside a project as a team has the feeling, okay, we have to do it in another way. So something is missing, and do we have anyone who knows about this new framework or this new testing perspective, this new integration test we need about building mock-ups or anything, or setting up this API access to the database? And if they recognize, no, we don't have the skills, then they are quite naturally think about which training can we get.
Yeah,
I think it will work this way, and it works this way. This is
okay.
experience from Carl's project.
as you tell that, that's a good and reasonable approach, I think, because as I said before, that can be considered as kind of a, let's say, checklist of all the skills that are necessary. They have to be spread over the organization, but no one so far tells you to which amount they have to be spread above the organization. So how intensive will this or that activity be performed, depending on the risks, objectives for the project, for the product, if it's hazardous or not, and so on and so on. And the only people who can tell you are the guys from the team.
Yes, it is so. Yeah, and that's another task that has to be done, is this risk analysis. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You just mentioned it in a different sense, but it's a task that has to be done for getting quality inside a project is doing a risk analysis about missing skills, because if we don't have the skills, we can't do the right implementation, and this is a gap in quality. Yeah.
Okay, so there is
very valuable in a lot of things.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So there is no further question, and we are just in time. So perfect. I will only have a comment. Good job. You see it on the screen as well. Perfect. I again thank you for this valuable contribution, and for the rest of the audience, please look forward to the next talk in this sequence. Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye.